Welcome to Learn English for Life.
Good morning, Mrs. Jones. What brings you in today?
Good morning, doctor. I have been experiencing sharp pains in my abdomen, especially after meals. It's been going on for a few weeks now.
I see. Any other symptoms you have noticed?
Sometimes I feel nauseous, and there's this constant feeling of bloating. I'm a bit concerned it might be something serious.
Those are important symptoms to note. We will definitely need to investigate further. Based on your symptoms, it sounds like you may have gastritis. We will need to run some tests to confirm.
Gastritis? Is that related to the stomach?
Yes, it's inflammation of the stomach lining. We will start with an ultrasound to rule out any other issues.
Will I need to change my diet or take medication?
Depending on the results, we may prescribe medication to reduce acid production and recommend dietary changes to ease symptoms. It's important to manage your diet to avoid spicy foods and acidic drinks for now.
Understood. I will make those changes.
Speaking of symptoms, have you heard the idiom to feel under the weather?
Yes, I have. Does it come from sailors feeling seasick?
Exactly. It originates from the days when sailors would get seasick and feel unwell due to rough weather at sea. It's interesting how these expressions come from real-life situations.
That makes sense. Language evolves from everyday experiences.
Your condition involves some medical terms like endoscopy and biopsy. Let me explain what they mean.
I have heard of endoscopy, but not biopsy. What's the difference?
An endoscopy examines your digestive tract with a camera, while a biopsy involves taking tissue samples for detailed examination.
I see. It's good to understand these terms better.
It helps to demystify the medical process when patients understand what each procedure involves. Did you know the term placebo comes from Latin, meaning I shall please? It refers to a substance with no therapeutic effect given to please a patient who believes it's beneficial.
That's fascinating. Are there other medical terms with such intriguing origins?
Certainly. Another is quarantine, originating from Italian quarantagiorni, meaning 40 days, referring to the isolation period for ships during the Black Death.
History certainly leaves its mark on language in unexpected ways.
So, Mrs. Jones, I will schedule your ultrasound for tomorrow morning. In the meantime, avoid spicy foods and try eating smaller, more frequent meals.
Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your thorough explanation. I will follow your advice and see you tomorrow.
You are welcome, Mrs. Jones. Don't hesitate to call if you have any more questions before then. We will discuss the results and plan our next steps accordingly.
I will. Thanks again, doctor.
Good morning, Mrs. Jones. Thank you for coming in today. How have your symptoms been since our last visit?
Good morning, doctor. The sharp pains in my abdomen have lessened a bit, but I still feel discomfort, especially after eating. The bloating and occasional nausea are still there too.
I'm glad to hear there's been some improvement. Let's delve deeper into your symptoms to get a clearer understanding.
Sure, doctor. It's been mainly a burning sensation in my upper abdomen, and it tends to worsen after spicy foods or coffee.
That pattern suggests gastritis, inflammation of the stomach lining. It's often aggravated by acidic or irritating foods. Have you noticed any changes in your appetite or weight recently?
My appetite has decreased a bit, especially when the pain is more intense, but I have not noticed any significant weight changes.
That's important information. Have you experienced any vomiting or black, tarry stools?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, that's reassuring. Let's proceed with an ultrasound to check for any abnormalities in your stomach and nearby organs.
Will the ultrasound show everything you need to know?
It will provide us with a good initial view. If necessary, we may follow up with more specific tests like an endoscopy to get a closer look inside your stomach.
Sounds good, doctor. I'm ready to proceed.
Based on your symptoms and medical history, we suspect gastritis, but we will confirm with the ultrasound and potentially an endoscopy.
What will the ultrasound reveal?
It will give us a detailed view of your stomach lining, looking for signs of inflammation, ulcers, or other abnormalities. This will help us determine the best course of treatment.
What are the treatment options for gastritis?
Treatment usually involves medications to reduce stomach acid production and relieve symptoms. Lifestyle changes like avoiding trigger foods, reducing stress, and eating smaller, more frequent meals can also help.
Will I need to take medication long term?
It depends on the severity of the gastritis and how well you respond to treatment. We will discuss this in more detail once we have the test results.
Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your thorough approach.
While we wait for the ultrasound results, let's explore some idioms related to health. Have you heard of the expression to be a pain in the neck?
Yes, it means someone or something is annoying or troublesome. Where does it come from?
It's believed to originate from the idea that neck pain can be persistent and bothersome, much like dealing with a difficult person or situation.
That makes sense. Language really does capture everyday experiences in unique ways.
Absolutely. Idioms often reflect common human emotions and experiences, making them a fascinating aspect of language. Moving on to some medical terminology, let's discuss endoscopy and biopsy. An endoscopy allows us to examine your digestive tract using a flexible tube with a camera at the end.
Will I be awake during the endoscopy?
You will be sedated to ensure your comfort during the procedure. It typically takes about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what we find and if we need to take any tissue samples, known as biopsies.
What is a biopsy exactly?
During a biopsy, we collect small tissue samples for microscopic examination. This helps us diagnose conditions like gastritis and determine the best treatment approach.
I appreciate you explaining everything so clearly, doctor.
Let's delve into some intriguing medical terms. For example, placebo comes from Latin, meaning I shall please. It refers to a substance or treatment with no therapeutic effect but may still have positive effects due to a patient's belief in its benefit.
So, it's more about psychology than actual medicine?
Exactly. The placebo effect underscores the power of the mind in healing processes, influencing how patients perceive and respond to treatments.
Are there other medical terms with equally fascinating origins?
Consider quarantine, which originates from the Italian quaranta giorni, meaning 40 days. It historically referred to isolating ships and travelers for 40 days during outbreaks to prevent the spread of infectious diseases.
History certainly shapes our language in unexpected ways.
Mrs. Jones, I will schedule your ultrasound for tomorrow morning. Please fast from midnight tonight and drink only water in the morning before your appointment.
Will I experience any discomfort during or after the ultrasound?
It's generally painless. You may feel slight pressure as the technician moves the ultrasound probe over your abdomen, but it should not be uncomfortable.
Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your thorough explanation and guidance.
You are welcome, Mrs. Jones. After the ultrasound, we will discuss the results and plan our next steps accordingly. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or concerns before then.
I will. Thanks again, doctor.